What is anti-Semitism? Technically, I guess it's anti-Jew. Why do they use a big word to make it confusing to people? I'm like, who are they talking about? I think it's, bottom line, it's anti-Christ. Why do they hate the Jews? Because Christ came from the Jews, is the story, right? So they hate the Jews for that. That's the reason they hate the Jews. So they're anti-Christ. People who are anti-Christ hate the Jews, right? So I don't, why do they call Trump Nazi and stuff like that? Or whoever, Bush, they called Nazi. The true Nazi is Hitler. He hated the Jews. He killed the Jews. Who else hates the Jews? Islam, particularly. Muslims hate the Jews. I won't say, we'll say certain groups do, but they don't. They all disagree with Christ. All Islam disagrees with Christ, who said he is God, right? Who said he's one with the Father, who claims power of heaven through resurrection power. So they all disagree. Don't think they call Jesus a liar, basically, every one of them, except unless they don't know their theology. That's the theology of a Muslim, though, is they are calling Jesus a liar. Same with Mormons, same with Jehovah's Witnesses. And so I don't like the word anti-Semitism because nobody knows what it means, really. I mean, you got to look it up, and then can you even remember it? Every time you see the word, it's complicated. It's a confusing word. How about what they should just say anti-Jew or anti-Christ? But that specifically they are anti-Jew, I think. And I'm pretty sure that's the word. So this has all been a trick because they say Islamophobe, and Islamophobe is backwards. The definition of Islamophobe is backwards. Because really a phobia is something that you have irrational fear for. You should have some fear for terrorists threatening to bomb you. You should have fear for that. But not overly fear. But you should not have fear of talking against Islamic beliefs and saying what's true, because Jesus came down. When Jesus died and rose from the grave, he died on the cross, rose from the grave. Sorry, I almost messed that up. But he died on the cross and rose up from the dead. He left the burden of proof on every other guy to prove any evidence of being God. He said, look, I just proved I'm God. That's what he's saying by what he did. And he did say it. He said that he and the Father are one. And he said it in many other ways. And he didn't say it specific because he wants you to see his character, mostly. But he is the Son of God, but he's Trinity, but he's the Son of God in the fact that he's God in the flesh. And so no man has ever seen God the Spirit, right? So I'm going to go ahead and close this, but those are my main points. So they call Trump and people a Nazi. Those are the Jews' best friends. They believe in Christ. They are pro-Christ. The Republicans are generally pro-Christ. A lot of libertarians are atheistic. I'm not going to say all of them. I don't know. But I'm independent. So I like to be independent, and I lean Republican because I'm pro-Christ. I differ because I do believe in legalizing, and maybe this message will catch on. I think I'm right about this. I really do, because right now they say you'll get more people on drugs. No, it's in their face in the streets, the way it is now. And you can crack down on that if you legalize things properly. And you disempower the street dealing when you do it the proper way. And the proper way it's not exactly legalizing drugs. It's legalizing the medicinal plants, the natural medicinal plants, but still putting them in stores, like a liquor store or something, somebody who's licensed. And then you could still, later on, we could talk more about if we did that, you could talk more about whether you put the strongest liquors in the stores, or if you start mixing them instead of having the strongest ones. And, so I think you put the plants there, you let the scientists use the plants and have more medicines given to doctors, like the coca leaf, for instance, has psychological properties, antidepressant properties. I think probably the best, and it does have pain medicine. And so the problem with pain medicine is they can be addictive because they make you feel good even though you're hurting, right? And so that's one reason they're addictive. And but they can do much, like they have the Lord tabs people get addicted to. They're not doing enough to make safer products of that. They can take some stuff out of that. You think scientists aren't capable of that? There's some things they claim to be capable of, like measuring whale bones from tens of millions of years ago, and they're lying. They skipped the flood. They skipped the Noah flood of Noah that shows we're all one human race, and found those bones in Sahara Desert. They have no capability of measuring from tens of millions of years ago because we didn't exist tens of millions of years ago. And not only that, they're lying, they skipped the flood. Those bones came from the flood. That's for sure. That's no question. We got the history showing it. We got the evidence. The bones are part of the evidence that the flood existed. So that's just a small part of the evidence. There's lots of evidence. So we got to start holding scientists accountable and quit falling for everything. And you put the plants in the stores. You put concentrated forms, which are stronger, in the doctor's hands. And, go from there. That's the format. And then that disempowers the crooks in the streets trying to deal stuff, the crooks and murderers. We have medicines in the hands of crooks and murderers. And I'm not going to say it's all of them, but everyone that gets into it just for the money, they're influenced by the crook and murder guys. They have a place they can prey on people through that venue. So I'm going to end on that, but no, Republicans are mostly pro-crash party. And, libertarians have a lot of good points. I'm not against them all the way, but I'm independent because I do believe in regulation, and libertarians don't so much. So we should regulate, and then you teach abstinence. I'm going to finish on that. You do teach abstinence. So I did 2 subjects. I got onto that subject somehow. I forget how I tied it in. It did tie in somehow, maybe not. But I'm just showing how they use trick words and stuff with the anti-Semitism, and Islamophobia is a phobia. I didn't finish. Phobia is an irrational fear, and so being afraid to speak against Islam and call it a false religion, that's a phobia. We should be allowed to do that. That's not necessarily we should be able to do that and not be afraid to do it. But we are afraid because they have bullies, and the Democrats are the bullies. And the media, and they won't let you talk. And for instance, most people won't hear my video because the Democrats blocking me, and that's slavery. They're trying to turn people into slaves because the way that you make slaves is you don't let people know the truth. You block the truth. I'm going to end right there for now.